You're listening to the old new... Oh, wait, no, you're not. You are listening to A Conversation with Lois and Clark. So we have slightly rebranded, and we've added this to the feed of A Conversation with. So if you already subscribed to one or the other, you're very welcome. You've now got double the amount of shows. We haven't done an episode of this for a while. So my name is Jason. Joining me, as always, is...
Hello, this is Rochelle.
So it seems like it's been a while since we recorded one of these.
Indeed, yeah.
Trying to remember how it works. Generally, we would start by reading the synopsis for the episode. So this was episode 8. So I've fired up our good friend Wikipedia, and I'm just going to read about this episode. It's episode 8, The Green, Green Glow of Home. So a little bit of sizzle in the title there. We've got a good idea what the episode's going to be about. It was directed by Les Landau and written by Bryce Zabel. I feel like that's a name we've read before. Interesting, he actually wrote episode 2, so that might come up in a minute. Let's just see what Wikipedia has to say about the episode. Wayne Eyrig, a neighbour of the Kents, finds a piece of a meteorite and sends a sample to the laboratory for examination. A week later, a government agency takes over his farm, saying that they have to investigate about environmental violations. Wayne knows that they are looking for the meteorite, and he gives it to Martha and Jonathan to hide. Perry sends Lois and Clark to Smallville to investigate this EPA report. Jonathan shows Clark the meteorite, and they find out that it affects Clark and makes him weak. While investigating, Lois and Clark realize that Wayne has disappeared, and they know that something is wrong. They get caught only to find that Trask is behind everything and is looking for the meteorite to kill Superman. Trask kidnaps Clark's parents and threatens to kill them if Clark will not tell him where Superman is. Clark admits that he is Superman, but since he does not have his powers, Trask does not believe him. Clark gets his powers back and saves his parents. Trask sees it and he uses the meteorite to kill him, but Clark manages to destroy it. The two of them fight and Trask gets killed by the sheriff. Lois writes a story and names the meteorite Kryptonite.
It's quite decent this time, isn't it?
With regards to spelling mistakes?
No, it's more like the order of the story. I mean...
Yeah, kind of. There's a few...
or did you move more?
Few
change
things. Well, yeah, it's just a little bit muddled, but more or less that's what happened. Right, let's get into it. First, did you enjoy this episode?
Yeah, it was alright. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Happy to be watching it again?
Yeah, it's been so long.
It's been like you needed that little break just to
it's
appreciate it all the more.
It's just the pressure, to having to...
No pressure anymore. There's no pressure. To everybody,
no pressure anymore.
Tweet in and say, there's no pressure. So, I've taken my notes.
Yes.
I'm very dedicated.
You are.
I'm
sorry. I thought it was just fun, but when you start to put structure into it and schedule, it makes it very, pressured.
The problem is I'm a professional.
Of course. Yeah.
You do want it just comes through in everything I do.
I know you.
Right. So they forgot. They didn't include the start of the episode.
But of course, because they can't put all the details in a synopsis. The synopsis should be like, the actual meat of the show.
Yeah, I suppose what I mean as well is also that when he's saying about like the people arriving and then him giving the meteorite to Jonathan and Martha, that it doesn't happen. Like a lot of what they're saying, like people arriving, kind of happens off screen, and we don't actually see that. We just find out about what happens later. But let's get to the very start of the episode.
Okay.
So, or even before the episode starts, we get our first previously on.
Yes, yeah.
And there's a little recap of episode 2.
Yes.
So this is clearly Bruce Zabel, this discussion again. This is clearly his... he likes this character of Trask. He clearly made him up.
Yeah.
Gonna be honest with you, I keep saying, I think I said Bruce. I think it's Bryce. I'm just reading here. I don't think he's a good character.
Well, he was a good, compelling character because he was the first one that got to know the real identity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
It's not spoilers. It's written there. It says that he sees
I wanted
it.
to say some stuff about the ending, but I don't know if I should.
We'll get to the ending. Don't worry.
Oh,
but let's
okay.
begin at the beginning.
Okay.
So we've said... What have we said? We've said that he... So we got this previously on. But then we cut to Metropolis, to Superman. Really, the only scenes of Superman in the whole episode.
Yes, that's true. Like 2 minutes probably.
Yeah.
Of him scouting the city and then saving people and being his charming self.
You say that. You say
Well,
you
he
say
was
saving
standing
people.
in front of the villain, and the
Yeah.
villain shot him, and he was just standing there.
Yeah, there was sort of one, like, very classic Superman intervention, if you know what I mean. So, like, we see this car, like, obviously a criminal, he's stolen the car or he's robbed a bank or whatever he's done, he's running away in the car, and we see Superman sort of stop in front of him, he tries to reverse, Superman lifts the car with one hand, and the wheels are spinning, so he gets out, he tries to run away, Superman is faster than him, so he gets in front of him. The guy shoots at him, multiple bullets. He does a ridiculous catch of the bullets.
Yeah.
So the problem I had with him catching the bullets is the way he's waving his arms about. Those bullets wouldn't have even hit him. How bad a shot is this guy?
It would have been more impressive. It was like on his chest, like just catching them like that instead of like.
Yeah. He did it a little bit too. It was a bit too kind of choreographed, like catching them all. I agree. If he'd just sort of stood there and been really like...
And had a bullet shot, hit him and then just fall on the ground, you mean?
Yeah, because he made it look like...
Or like swap, like have his hand across his body, like catching all of it.
Oh, in one go?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I think what I like is if it had been really nonchalant. If he just sort of stood there, the bullets had hit him, and it was just like...
It would be so obvious, like, ooh.
Oh, bullets. Huh, how quaint. That kind of... There's actually an amazing... Talking about bullets and Superman. This, as our regular listeners who listened since episode 1 would know, this came about because we had that list that we saw. The Brendan Roth Superman movie, Superman Returns, ranked as the worst live-action portrayal of Superman. Well, in that movie, there's a fantastic scene where he gets, like, he's just catching some kind of criminals, and one shoots him, and the bullet sort of folds in his eye.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's that
is so cool.
Such a good scene in such a bad movie. But anyway.
Well, at least you found a good scene.
I've said, I'm pretty sure I said it on episode 1 that I don't think it's too terrible. Well, it's a terrible movie.
Probably if you watch it again, you'll appreciate it more.
Well, maybe after this episode, let's see. So anyway, so he saves him. He does all of this, and really, all of this is to set up one line. Do you remember what that line was? You're taking a long pause. You're really thinking. I can see the cogs turning in your mind.
One line.
Yeah. I'll help you out.
He's invincible.
Pretty much, the guy says, and I quote, "Nothing hurts you," and Superman's like,
"Nothing so far."
Yeah, like nothing so far or nothing yet. Some very foreshadowing dialogue, not least of all because as soon as he says "nothing so far," like bolt of lightning crashes, the screen lights up, and you're like, ooh.
So that thing happened. So what happened in Smallville then? That this lightning basically struck open this tree, and this man saw these stones in the tree. Is that what happened? Behind the scenes.
Okay.
How did he find the rocks?
So, they're in the ground. So
okay.
The lightning struck the tree open. Oh, hello! I've got a rock inside. No, not quite. So we have a sharp cut to Smallville. We've got Jonathan Kent. Somebody's knocking on his door, and it's one of the neighbours. This guy, Wayne, who basically says that because of this big storm the other night, the tree came down
Oh.
and pulled up, and under, like, in the earth that came up, he found
the rock.
this rock, and he sent off a piece of it to be sampled. And now the FBI, I think they had just been like calling him at that point. They hadn't yet got there and caused trouble, but he gives him this massive container with this, what looked almost like a dilithium crystal for any Star Trek fans out there. It
looks like the crystal that he would put to build his, what is it called?
The Fortress of
the
Solitude.
Fortress of Solitude. It's the same like shape, but just different color.
It was less meteorite-y, more crystal-y, definitely.
Yeah, because usually it's more like a rock, isn't it? Like a green rock. But this time it's more like a crystal.
Yeah.
It's already
embedded in a piece of rock.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the design of it changes during the seasons. I think that was quite odd.
It looks very much like,
plastic.
No, probably glass. Let's say glass.
Okay. Right. Well, he gives this box to Jonathan Kent and basically says, look, you've got to hide this. I don't trust the government. And then we cut back to Metropolis. We're back in the Daily Planet.
And we saw Jimmy.
So he comes into the Daily Planet and he speaks to Kat.
Yeah.
So Kat's back for all of 5 seconds.
She's still there. And then she comes up after as well, didn't she? To say that, Lois is in line too. Remember? You forgot!
Yeah, I didn't see that. I must have been typing up my notes.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Is that when Jimmy tells him that Clark's on line 1?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really... I'm so sorry. Sorry, Kat. I missed you there. But basically, he's got this watch. He's like, I've got this watch, and it can emit a sound that's kind of like, basically it's a dog whistle on a watch that only Superman can hear.
Yeah.
That there's some explanation that it's to help the military find something. I didn't really understand what that was, but he's decided, well, this can help me like attract Superman.
Call Superman, yeah.
At which point, Kat's like, "Ooh, can I have that?"
And turns it on.
Well, yeah, they
turns it on.
They turn it on, and we see Clark and Lois and Perry in conversation because he wants them to go to Smallville to follow up this lead because of what's happening on the farm of Wayne. And we see he starts kind of freaking out because he hears this sound and it's disturbing him, and obviously no one else can hear it. But then the way he kind of goes, he just walks off, he finds the watch, and the way he turns it off, it's clearly annoying him. It's like, what is this? Why would you even ask what it is? It's just a watch.
Yeah, but I think it was more because,
why would you ask? You've just seen a watch. It's just a watch.
Yeah, but you saw that they were trying to listen to it. And like Kat was saying, I can't hear anything. And then, he passes down, sees them. Said, what is this? And, and Jimmy said, it's something to call Superman.
Oh, see, we read that scene very differently because I saw him come in very annoyed. What is it? And he's grabbing it and
Clark Kent, very annoyed.
Yeah, he's not so mild-mannered as he pretends.
Oh, he was really mild-mannered there. I mean, it didn't seem like he was annoyed. I mean, if he was, why would he be annoyed? If I was Jimmy, like, why would you be annoyed? You can't hear this.
You can hear it. That's the problem. That's my issue with it. Is he acted as somebody who could hear the sound. Like, what is this? What's this noise? Almost. He didn't say it. It was very much implied in the subtext. If you don't believe me, dear listeners, go and watch the episode. It's episode 8.
It was more like, what is this? And then he said, it's something to call Superman. And then he said, probably you should only use it when you really need it. Like, a wise Clark would say.
Agree to disagree. So, moving on. Smallville, they go to Smallville.
You watch it, dear listener, let us know.
They get sent to Smallville. There's kind of a discussion in the car about the difference between the city and the country and
Lois wasn't
Middle
so
America.
keen to get there.
Yeah, she didn't look like she was overjoyed to be getting a nice little vacation away from Metropolis, out of the big city and out to the country. Sounds lovely. And coincidentally, I should say, the time they're going there, Smallville's really bustling because they have the annual Corn Festival.
You know what reminded me of this Corn Festival was the episode in Paw Patrol. When they had the same thing, the Corn Festival, and the mayor was there and all the farmers was there. I don't know why it reminded me of that.
Well, if we have any listeners in the Venn diagram that crosses over between Superman and Paw Patrol, let us know if you agree.
If you have a child, surely you know Paw Patrol.
Yeah, don't get me started on Paw Patrol. Anyway, it's just that kind of. It was just so like stereotypical, like Middle America, they're all simple folk, and the corn festival, that's where they all want to be, and it's so exciting.
And the lane dancing.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, they arrive, they get to this guy's farm, they ask a few questions, they get kind of a very weak answer. They want to speak to the farmer himself. That's not happening. So basically the idea is that he used too much pesticide and things on his farm, and it's leaked into the water source, and that's what they're investigating.
Yeah.
And obviously, so they get to the farm, they meet this woman who is representing the government. They ask a few questions, they get given some kind of weak answers. They want to speak to the farmer himself. They're told he was given money to relocate during the process. They're told it's basically because of pesticides that he used, that they're afraid have leaked into the water. But then we see inside the tent. So Clark he didn't try to use his X-ray vision at this point.
No, he didn't. No.
Rookie mistake.
Because he wasn't thinking that it was something to do with that. He was just, well,
this
I'm
all
just
sounds
being a
above
reporter.
board. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe he's. I don't know. I don't understand why, because later
He's
we
on
see.
holiday.
Well, later we see. Yeah, he's just enjoying his weekend away with Lois, isn't he? That's what it is.
Yeah. But I think it was because they just arrived, and then when they arrived in Smallville, they didn't go to the house. They immediately went to the site, and they weren't allowed to get in.
That's true. But we, using our X-ray vision, get to see inside the tent, and we see the return of Jason Trask, who is interrogating this poor man, and he's being interrogated by Trask. He's asking him where this rock is, and he's telling him that was all what he sent in. That was all he had. There isn't any more. He says, well, either you buried it or you gave it to someone. So he's kind of, which is true, he gave it to someone. So as much as I don't like this guy, he's at the moment he's accurate there. He gave it to someone. We're really made to see how evil he is. Yeah. Like, there's no doubt. So it's Bureau 39.
How did he have all those resources? I thought he got kicked out the last episode. He was like, all his things was like on hold. But he killed that guy, didn't he? So probably he just covered it all up. Yeah,
it could be a little bit of a plot hole there, because you're right. He was given orders that everything was to be disbanded.
Yeah.
And then he still had, in that episode, the men that were with him. So you could assume, well, they were the ones loyal to him, so they worked.
But now he had the budget. Someone was giving him a budget.
Now it seems like it was completely, restored, and he is in charge. And the government, the lady that works for the government, she was kind of just recruited for this.
I think it seemed like that lady didn't have any job, any work, because he basically recruited her there and threatened her, like, you have a daughter that you're supporting, so if you resign now, then
basically said, it wasn't you don't have a job. He told her, well, this is what Bureau 39 does. And she's like, well, what's Bureau 39? I didn't sign up for this. I'm out. He said, well, you can leave if you want, but nobody who ever left Bureau 39, stayed alive. It's almost like a curse. So he's basically saying,
is that what he was saying?
Yeah, if you quit, you'll die. And then he's like, oh, and what about your daughter? And all that. So just again, he's a bad guy. We know, we get it.
So she didn't have a choice.
That's what she says. I think we all have a choice.
Yeah.
Then we cut across, we see where Lois and Clark have gone next. Have they gone home to drop off their luggage and to
No,
change?
they went to town.
I went to the Corn Fest.
Of course. Where would you go? You need to have lunch.
I'd go home, unpack, put my feet up, have a little nap, then go to the Corn Fest.
Probably, you see, Martha and Mr. Kent wasn't even home.
Even better. Anyway, we go to Corn Fest, we meet his, I don't want to say ex-girlfriend, but he did take her to a senior prom. We know that much.
Best friend.
She is a sheriff. I thought we might have seen a appearance of Lana Lang.
Who was Lana Lang?
She wasn't there.
Oh.
But you know who Lana is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't have Lana. We had, I don't remember what her name was, the sheriff. I want to say
Michelle, yeah.
Michelle, yeah, and she's clearly still quite keen on Clark, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, so how long have you two been? Oh no, we just worked together. Ah, so it's just professional. Oh, good, like kind of.
Like, yes.
Yeah, and later when someone's speaking to Jimmy, spoilers for later in the episode, when Jimmy says like, oh, it's Clark, and it's like, oh, Clark, and Lois, oh yeah, Lois. She's like really diffused at that point. Anyway, he meets her. They have a little look around.
Yeah,
and he's saying,
and Lois judging all everyone and everything.
yeah, and he's like, oh, you're so, you're wrong about these people. You've got this phone. So she just points out one random person working in the grill, and he's like, oh, you see that guy cooking the food? He on the surface, normal guy. I guarantee it, he's a cross-dresser. And who is she pointing to?
Mr. Kent.
Jonathan Kent. I'll give you his name's Jonathan.
Yeah.
You have clearly forgotten the second reference to Mr. Kent.
Yeah, well, that is his name.
Yeah. Well, no, he'd go, no, Mr. Kent's my father.
Yeah, in fact, that's why.
Call me Jonathan.
Okay. I thought you mean Clark would say that.
Yeah. So then his mum comes up. He introduces her, and then he's like, oh, you guys got to get some food. And Clark, he's really mean, because he just drops Lois in it.
Yeah,
he's like,
it's true.
Oh, Mum, we would go get some food, but Lois has just
said-
told me that guy working the
the
grill is a
grill.
cross-dresser. And she's like, oh, don't be silly, that's Clark's dad. Said he won't even buy me a dress, let alone one for himself. So, I say poor Lois. I mean, that was very prejudiced on her part,
I
so
know,
maybe she deserved it.
yeah. But I like that dynamic, because obviously Clark is not, threatened by her. He is not like trying to please her, but is happy to joke around with her and to drop her,
Yeah,
in front of a bus or something if needed, to teach her
front of a bus.
to teach her a lesson. And I think it's good for Lois, because she sees that Clark is comfortable with her doing that, and that they're equal, and that's nice. That she's not treated as a princess. I mean, I don't think she would want that.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, we see. Then they do finally go home.
Yes.
Good. And on the one hand,
A lot of awkward moments. I mean, for Lois, but Clark was totally fine with it.
what, totally fine in his house? Yeah. Of course
Yeah,
he
I
was.
mean, when the mom said, Lois, you sleep at Clark's room. Clark, you sleep
On
on the sofa, unless you two are. And Lois was immediately no, but
Yeah.
Clark was happy, like what, pretending he didn't hear what that mom said.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he's
what
got
about-
super hearing.
Yeah.
Well-
What about the painting?
Oh yeah, there's like an abstract painting that is a bowl of fruit apparently.
What is it? It's a bowl of fruit. Like Martha was
Yeah.
like, isn't it obvious? It's a bowl of fruit.
Then we get what I have coined the phrase now, lane-splaining.
Yeah.
Where
She got
Lois Lane
embarrassed
explained
so
when they
much.
said, "Oh, there'll be a fax coming over in the morning," and she said, "Oh, what?" And then Lois breaks into explaining what a fax is, which I suppose, if you think about it, it's convenient for the audience of today that many of them probably don't know what a fax is, but
Actually, fax machines still exist, don't they?
they do still exist.
And some still use it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Why would you use a fax machine?
Oh,
How does
so-
it work? Is it like digital? Surely not.
No,
Is it like
go-
radio
go-
waves?
You might want me to edit this out. Some still use a fax machine, yes. They're quite difficult to use now because you have to blow off like inches of dust before you can
Yeah.
put the paper in.
And find somewhere where they do actually do fax.
Yeah.
I remember in Italy they had that a lot.
Also, the last company I worked in before we moved here in
Oh,
England,
yeah.
they also occasionally you'd get things through by fax. If you ever work for a company where things get sent through by fax or where you have to send things by fax, just know that we only check the fax machines like once a day. So emails will always get checked every 5 minutes, and faxes, someone actually has to get up and walk over to the fax machine. So they never get checked. But back in this time,
Yeah.
fax was the way to go. Lois explains what a fax is, to which Martha simply lifts the kind of cover off the fax machine that's there. I was like,
"Oh, this one."
I just meant I needed just to check if it needs paper or something, which she hadn't really said, oh, I better check that it needs paper. She had said,
What?
But,
Probably she was just like making sure what she was saying.
yeah. Now, Lois is taken off to the room
Yeah.
to get comfortable. And Jonathan sneaks up to Clark and says, "Oh, I thought you were coming alone because I've got to show you something." And he explains that they're not there for, they're not there on that other farm for the reasons that they say they are. They're looking for this, and he opens the case in the little room they've gone to, and Clark instantly starts feeling terrible because he's revealing the kryptonite. Now, at that point, Rochelle, what would you have done?
Close the box. Just close it.
But he didn't close the box. He left the lid off. He grabs Clark. He
Clark,
him in his arms.
Are you okay? Martha! Call Martha and call also Lois so, she can see what is happening.
No, cover the lid. He was fine when you walked in the room, so
I know
that if it's covered, he's okay.
Yeah, but he didn't know, what was happening, did he?
I don't know. Let's set the scene.
Then why
There's a case. There's a lid. We're having a chat. You feel fine. I lift the lid. You collapse. Should I put the lid back on?
Why didn't he do it then?
Or just on the table?
Why didn't he do it? Maybe he was just shocked. What's happening now? Oh dear,
Well, he very nearly killed Superman. I hope he can live with himself because really...
Yeah, but then you said there was no consistency on this thing because right at the end...
Oh, we're going to get to that.
It didn't get this... Okay.
Don't jump ahead. Just take it bit by bit. We've still got a lot to go. Anyway, so... He comes in, they must, I assume they cover it. Yes. He goes back into the house. I think
because probably Martha came in and said, "What are you doing? Yeah. Close the lid off. Close the lid off."
You see, that's what he needed, just a woman there to solve the problem, really.
An outside perspective.
Yeah. She comes in.
Outside the box.
She comes in. "What happened?" "Oh, I was standing there. I took the lid off and the rock glowed and he fell to the floor." "Okay, did you put the lid back on?" "No." So that's the scene that was obviously cut for time, we assume that happened.
Yeah, I think it's just, you need to draw your own conclusion.
So, the problem here was he was weakened. Yeah. We get that. He goes into the house. I mean, they go to sleep. We get the next day.
He had like a really high temperature.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. He's not well. He goes in, there's some scenes of him not being...
and everything.
Okay. But then he goes to sleep. You get the next day. They're out the next day. He still hasn't got his powers back. He still is super weak.
Well, not super weak because during the night he was ill. He actually had a fever and everything, and he was feeling terrible, as Lois has said. And then in the morning he was a normal person. He didn't have the power, but he wasn't ill.
Yeah, see, I didn't like that because why did it just strip him of his? Either it's like weakened you and you're ill, or you're okay. But the fact that it just conveniently stripped him of his powers, he was just at the level of a human.
But I don't think it was like stripped him of his powers. I think at the beginning he was completely like ill to the point even of human illness, and then a normal human, and then finally he could access his power again. It was just by degrees.
Yeah, but it was very much like a switch. Do you know? It wasn't like, oh, I'm strong. I'm stronger than a norm. Because Superman. You're saying like he's the level of a normal human, and then he's the level of Superman. Yeah. There are a lot of levels in between that. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've got your Captain Americas who are enhanced to the peak of human. But then you're going to have certain superheroes who are they have what is considered to be super strength, but they are not as strong as Superman. But he went from being as weak as just a normal human to suddenly having super strength again.
No, because remember that day he went and checked if he could lift the car. He couldn't lift it the way he used to, but he could lift it stronger than a normal person, couldn't he? Because he could lift it a little bit, but not the way that he used to. And then he was trying to use his X-ray vision. He could do his X-ray vision a little bit, but not fully to the point of being able to see behind the curtains. And then when he went to do that, what was it? The hammer smashing thingy, he had 3 goes before he could actually hit it like a Superman. Which is convenient because,
Yeah, okay, fine.
You don't agree?
No, but it's okay. We don't have to agree. You can be wrong, it's fine.
No, I'm just saying on my own,
yeah,
how I look at it.
Anyway, I think we do get another scene where we cut back to Trask's interrogation of Wayne. Now, here's another thing that bothered me. I've become more critical in my old age, I've realised. But I found his explanation for why he was looking for kryptonite to be a little bit convenient. It's like, we got this sample, look, it's minerals, it's different, it's clearly not from Earth, it's got, chemical elements or, we don't have here, like things that aren't on the periodic table. And it emits a low-level radiation that is harmless to humans. But I am convinced it will be harmful to Superman.
How can you conclude that? If you know that is from Superman's planet and Superman is super powerful, surely you might think, oh, probably this is the rock that is giving him the power.
Yeah, it could be what supercharges him.
Yeah.
Like, it is stupid because it's like, okay, a bullet hurts a human.
Yeah, it does.
But it doesn't hurt Superman.
No.
This radiation won't hurt a human. Why would you think something that doesn't hurt a human is going to hurt Superman?
Yeah, especially because you don't have any sample of Superman's DNA to be able to check how that rock would react.
Exactly.
That radiation would react with him.
And I mean, it is a bit weird, isn't it, that you're allergic to your home planet.
Yeah.
So, like, jumping to that conclusion of being, well, I think this is a part of the planet he's from, or the rock from his planet. Clearly, this is the thing that will kill him. So, the logical conclusion is that everybody who lives on that planet is constantly dying from the planet.
Probably that's why they moved to Earth.
Yeah, that's why he's so convinced there's an invasion force coming.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was a little bit, I prefer it when...
So just a side note. So why is Kryptonite hurting Superman if it's from his planet?
Comic book logic. Let's use that.
Because there's also like the red rock that changes his personality. Why is the green kryptonite that is from his planet is a poison for him? Surely the yellow sun should be the poison, and the green one that is from his planet should be the one that gives him power. It's just I don't understand.
So the theory behind it is that it messes with his absorption of
the yellow sun.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So
okay.
That seems to be the reason.
Okay.
Who knows if that's true, but there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get a phone call. I can't remember what it's about. They get a phone call at the table.
From the friend.
Yeah, it's from the farmer.
Yeah,
because he's
from
under duress making a phone call and clearly
reading something from a note.
Yeah, clearly a mess. And Clark chatting with his parents. Lois is gone off.
Yeah.
She comes back. She's bought a dress.
Yeah.
And then they do some line dancing, and it's just like
push.
It's just a weird that you've had but it's weird that like
I think it was a chance for Clark to be normal, which like Martha said, I don't understand. That's what he's always been asking for, is to be normal. Now that he's normal, he misses his powers. She said that. I
don't think she said he missed his, but I think she was saying like he seemed quite happy in this thing. The one who was really not happy about it was Jonathan.
Oh. Yeah.
And because Jonathan said what I completely agree with, because she was like, oh, he's always wanted to be normal. And he said, no, he's not normal. Like, for a human, this is normal. His normal is super. Like, this isn't good. And that's true, because if you are at that, like, level, and then you've come down and you're like, well, now you're at the same level as us, great, but that must mean there is something seriously wrong with you. Like, you could die in 6 months at that point. You don't know what's wrong with you. That's not good. Anyway, we see them go and do the fair. You've mentioned the strength test. They're just having a good old time.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody's forgotten that there's clearly some shady government agency working there. There's a rock that can kill you. There's a lot going, but don't worry. Go and have a dance. Why not? We cut back to the Daily Planet.
Yes.
We see Perry
listening to the forest,
meditating in his office, with bare feet in the lotus position on the floor. The sounds of the rainforest playing. And Jimmy comes in. Clark's on line 1. Starts speaking to Clark. So Clark says there's no story.
Yeah.
That Lois should come back because there's no story. And then, as you said, Kat comes in, and Lois is on line 2. And Lois says, there's a story, we need, support up here. And he's like, have you spoken to Clark? Oh, well, Clark, he doesn't know a good story. Then he's like, can you hold a second? Clark, have you spoken to Lois? well, Lois, she's always convinced there's something. So,
I was just thinking, sure, this dated this show. They could just make a conference call at that point.
well, the whole point is that they were going behind each other's
I know,
back.
I know.
What would have been really good is if there was a way that he could have just linked their two phones and just let them have a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, she does walk in and they see that they're both on the phone and they kind of realise what's going on. Then they go back to the farm that's being checked, and they get caught by Trask. He does say kind of, so Lois just basically gets shipped off to another room. He's very dismissive of her. He's like, don't need you, goodbye, Clark, you're the one I'm interested in. And he says something that I misheard the first time, and then I was like, oh yes, but if you add it to what I misheard, even more so, because he said, well, you arrived, like Superman arrived at the same time as you.
You were born.
Yeah, and at the first time I was thinking he would say, Superman arrived because Superman appeared as Superman the same time Clark moved to Metropolis.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what he was saying. But no, he's saying that his pod crash landed the same time you were born.
Yeah.
Well, put those two together and be like, his pod landed the same time you were born. He appeared in Metropolis the same time you moved to Metropolis.
Surely you are Superman.
Yeah, I mean, or you're his brother, or you know him.
But he did think that there are connection between them, and that Clark, knows Superman.
Yeah. Then we go back to Martha. We have this conversation about what it was to be normal. That's when that happens. And basically, they've let the guy go so that they can follow him to where the meteorite is. So while Clark's being interrogated, somebody comes in and's like, we found it. He's gone to the farm of Jonathan and Martha Kent. And he's like, you didn't say this was going to be a family thing. And basically, he's like, I'm going to go in and kill your whole family unless you tell me where Superman is. And he's like, okay, I am Superman. So he pulls a gun on him, but obviously Superman doesn't have his powers, so he freaks out a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, haha, that was real fear, so you're not Superman.
Yeah.
And there's
forgot Jimmy.
Oh, and Jimmy is asked to go up and take pictures, and he's been sent up to take pictures.
Yeah. And he took pictures, and he saw that, they were like putting Clark on this truck, and he took a picture of that, and then he tried to use his watch to call Superman, and that's how that happens slightly after this bit, because he does hear it, so he gets his powers back. But it is just, as much as I do like Superman, there is this one trope that whenever he loses his powers, he always conveniently something happens. It will always be like the time somebody's like, I know you are Superman, and then we'll cut him and be like, he's bleeding, he can't be Superman. And that's fine if he did that deliberate. If he was like, for some reason I've lost my powers for 10 minutes, I'm going to very deliberately, break a glass in the sink and cut my hand in front of my work colleagues so they all see, I can But it's never like that. It's always like the villain is about to unmask him and be like, you must be... No, it's too convenient. I don't like it. I want it to be part of his plan. You want him to be a bit more...
it's just a happy coincidence that... I'm not saying in this episode. Yes, in this episode. But I'm not saying just in this episode. I'm just saying, in general, this happy coincidence that whenever Superman is depowered, somebody does something to him.
Good thing he knew he didn't have powers. Can you imagine if he didn't know that his power is not back completely, and he's okay, come on, shot me. And then if he shot him, and if it does penetrate, he would be like more shocked than he is imagining.
Yeah. So he's chained up in this van.
Yeah.
And he's pulling and pulling and pulling on these chains.
Well, he did pull it a little bit, but not.
Yeah, but no more than a strong man could do, let's say. And he's not got his powers. Jimmy turns on the watch, and within seconds, he hears the watch, and he's like, I'm back, baby. And he just pulls the thing apart like it's
because
nothing.
It's like if you can hear the frequency, it means that, your
that's
hearing is back.
That's where I had the problem of it really just being like a switch. Like, I've got no powers, and then suddenly...
No, but I think
you're back.
And I think he was going there slowly, because, when I saw that he was trying to open the chain, it budged a little, but not completely. And then when Jimmy turned it on, he didn't, hear it immediately. It took a bit of time, but obviously they can't like put 5 minutes until he hears it. You know.
Okay, fine.
You're too tired to argue this now. This evening.
Anyway, he runs in. He sucks up the fire.
Yeah.
He blows out smoke into the air.
In front of everybody.
In front of everyone. So in front of Martha and Jonathan. Well, they know who he is.
And a friend.
Also the friend.
Although the friend was like facing the other way.
So she just so close your eyes and all you hear is like a sound of the fire being sucked
How
up.
about all the other guys?
Which
Trask's,
I don't know.
You know,
because Trask sees everything.
minions.
Now here we get another minor issue that I have.
Okay, I have like a theory on that.
What?
Say your thing.
Well, I think you think my thing is gonna be the second thing that I think. But first of all,
What are you talking
first of all, he is confronted.
Okay.
They have a little bit of a chat.
Yeah.
He runs forward to grab him
Mm-hmm.
and realizes,
Yeah,
I'm
something.
feeling weak.
Yeah.
Because behind his back,
Yeah.
he's holding the kryptonite.
Yeah.
I think that should have affected him immediately.
Mm.
Like, he wasn't far, it wasn't like very far away.
Mm.
He was quite close,
Mhm.
and then he kind of stepped forward and grabbed him, and at that moment, suddenly,
Yeah.
like, what's the range on this kryptonite? It's 0 to, again, it's like 0 to 100. So
Uh-huh.
I'm standing here, no effect.
Uh-huh.
I'm an inch closer, full effect, and
Well,
I'm
he did
collapsed.
fell over. Yeah, he collapsed.
Yeah,
then.
but only when he got there. I think he should have at least been
Well, they are
feeling
in an
something.
outside, whereas at the beginning they were in a confined space of was it a garage?
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I'm not sure how radiation works, but I
Well-
don't think it would matter that you're outside.
Yeah, but I'm just, it was more concentrated because he was in a confined space, whereas they were like outside, so radiation go everywhere.
Okay, so then, second problem is he picks up
Yeah,
this massive rock of
yeah.
kryptonite, throws it far enough that it then hits and just explodes.
Yeah. I thought it would infuse the water and make all the fish in the water like
Kryptonians.
yeah, like somehow,
And there we have
like
the
Smallville.
birth of Aquaman.
No, I have a theory on that one that you said. I think it's because at the very beginning, the first like dose of the kryptonite was more concentrated and his body never absorbed it before, and so he wasn't used to it. That's why it took so long for him to get used to it or like to recover from it. But the second time around, it's true, it still hit him quite hard, but I think his body was, a bit more, we know this before and now we know how to deal with it. And also it was in broad daylight, so the sun was helping him. Whereas at the beginning it was during nighttime.
But still, the effect kryptonite has on Superman, he picked up a massive, like, this was a two-hand
I know, but it just shows you
chunk
the
of the rock.
willpower because his family's about to die, so he has to do something about it. So that added to, his will to save them worked out at the end. Remember Kara, Supergirl?
Yes.
Yeah, the last episode that we watched.
No.
Also, there was like a kryptonite, and she had to use it in order to get rid of Rain. She had to grab the sword.
I think I fell asleep.
I don't remember, but he had to really like grab it, and he was like all shaky, and he couldn't do it. But then she did it, and then there.
Yeah, but everyone always complains about that. Even again, we reference back to Superman Returns. He picks up like a mountain of kryptonite, flows it into the air, and everybody was super angry about that. Like, how can he do that? There's no way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he shouldn't have been able to pick up this rock and throw it away. Like, sometimes you'll see just a small rock. We'll have to insert it here because we haven't done it yet. Batman.
Of course. Every episode has Batman.
He's just got a kryptonite ring. And just that small ring is enough to do damage to Superman.
Yeah.
Not actually that much, though. He doesn't...
Just makes him weak.
Just makes him, kind of normalish levels.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, kryptonite is very temperamental, it seems, the way they write it. But I just thought it was a little bit... I would have liked somebody else to maybe
take it away,
like maybe his mum or his dad or someone was...
They were all like tied up. Lois, maybe.
No, because he was Clark. Lois would have seen that it was Clark. I think if before, because he was there with them, if like before he confronted Trask, he just ripped the ropes, and then he's lying on the floor, nothing's there's nothing you can do, and then maybe Jonathan
he didn't have
just
enough time to
punts it. He did have enough time. He's Superman. He's got super speed.
I know. Why didn't he do it? It's I have to,
He's just showboating. He just wants to save the day himself. Leave Mum and Dad tied up in the barn. He doesn't.
Yeah,
care.
but he could just like
Bad son.
laser eyes it.
Laser eyes it.
Yeah, laser eyes. Isn't that nice?
Lovely. They have a really
fight
rubbish fight where
in the pond.
because he's depowered, he throws him in. Yeah, basically he wins, which therein lies,
It's funny when he came out the pond or the river, whatever it was, the water, and Lois was there and the sheriff was there. He just conveniently
found his glasses.
And put it back in, and then Lois saw Trask,
yeah.
yeah, took the gun and pointed at him, and then the sheriff.
Oh, we also found out why Trask hates Superman, and he's just jealous because he can't fly. Because he was like,
what he said?
No, but he was like going, "Oh, you're the invasion force. He's flying around, thinks he's better than all of us," and you're just like. Are you just jealous because you can't fly? Superman should have been like, I'll give you a lift. I'll pick you up. Don't worry about it, man.
Go up?
It just seemed very silly. Anyway, how is this secret going to stay a secret? Conveniently,
because I'm going to tell everyone. And Clark said, I don't care.
Yeah, but then he pulls a gun on him, and
Yeah.
before he can shoot him, the sheriff
yes,
shoots him. So secret safe.
Yeah.
Apart from this other guy who already sent off samples of kryptonite because he thought it might be worth money.
Lex gonna get hold of it.
Yeah. Well, I just mean I don't know. I think that guy would sell the story. The friend, the farmer.
You think so?
Yeah, because he's already.
What do you mean sell the story? Like say that Clark Kent is
I know
Superman?
the secret identity of Superman,
Oh.
and I'm willing to tell you for.
But they were friends for so long, so I don't think he'll do it. Unless you're telling me from the episodes that's to follow.
No, I
You don't
no
know.
idea. I can't remember, but I just greed, money.
Oh, but it was really nice when Lois came and they hugged. Oh, it was so sweet. Like Lois was so worried.
She was worried. That's
Yeah.
true about his allergies or whatever they said was the reason. So that's basically how it ended.
No,
They went back to the
Yeah.
Daily Planet. They write up a report. They name it Kryptonite.
Yeah, tell us
terrible scene.
how they came out with the name then.
Well, she basically wants
Because
like,
Perry
like,
said.
Perry's
So
like,
what's the name of
like,
this?
oh, it's all very
rock?
good, but it needs a name to
Yeah,
really.
because if it has a name, it's a bit more catchy, isn't it?
Yeah, and so she's like, well, he thought it was from Krypton, so Kryptonium. She comes up, and then Clark is like, oh, it was a meteorite, so maybe Kryptonite. And you're thinking, why are you so desperate to name it?
I know.
Just call it like very, very bad rock. Nobody wants this rock. Just
Extremely dangerous.
yeah. Rock proven to hurt
Radioactive.
Superman probably can kill you too, so maybe stay
Yeah,
away from it.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
perhaps people wouldn't be
Yeah,
so eager
yeah.
to
especially Lex.
get kryptonite. Yeah. There's a story.
What did he put on the? Did she say that it harms Superman, or she wrote that Trask thinks it can kill Superman?
I think there wasn't even an actual. I feel like
Because
this,
if
in the
you write
story
that,
it implied
I mean,
that.
come on, what you putting it out there for people
Yeah.
to
Dear
know
Lex Luthor,
exactly.
we may have
You might
found
as well.
something that
You
can
might as
kill
well.
Superman.
Yeah, do it like that.
Just if you're interested. I have a feeling that in the actual post, it was kind of done like the post. Man, it wasn't a post. It was an article in a newspaper,
Yeah.
but we live in a modern world. It was written kind of like a hypothetical rock he was looking for that they never actually found because nobody ever saw it. So it was like he was out of his mind. He was looking for a magic rock that he thought could hurt Superman. What a crazy guy. That was kind of
they
the
shouldn't
story.
have said it like that, because now Lex will be like, so something can hurt Superman. Now I'll have to go look for it.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised we didn't get any Lex in this
I
episode.
know. Well,
but-
probably next episode
Anyway.
for sure.
So that's kind of the whole episode. What did you think?
Yeah, it was good.
Where would you rank it in
yeah.
comparison to? And I'll just pull up my list here. So I believe we put Smart Kids
The bottom of
last
the list.
episode. That's
I
at the
don't think
bottom,
this is the bottom
and
of
the one
list.
before. Then top should still be. What was it? I've Got a Crush on You, or Looking for a Superhero? Oh no! I've Got a Crush on You was episode 6, where the arsonist, and he works undercover in the club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you like that one.
I still like
Anyway,
that
this
one,
this episode is definitely not going at the top.
No.
But you said not the very bottom.
No.
So where do
What is
you
the
think?
second to the bottom?
Episode 2.
Oh, the one of Trask.
Yeah.
I think this one would be on top of that one.
On top of that one.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll put it there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a continuation basically of that whole story, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's slightly better
also
than the first
because-
episode. We didn't really like the first episode,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And also because it's, we were questioning how come he has all of these resources again. I thought he got out on that and everything.
Yeah. Anything that you found dated the show?
Cell phone?
Cell phone, yeah.
The cell phone that looks like the home phone, but just without the wires.
Yeah, which I'm wondering if it was supposed to be like just a cordless phone. The
It
one
did
that
look
she
like a
used, the
cordless
one that she
phone.
used in the house.
Well, that was her cell phone.
Yeah, but that looks just like the cordless phone. You know when he's like in Metropolis, he's on the phone to both his mum and dad at the same time.
Yeah, but that one
and
is-
one's
looks
always
much
got
bigger.
one, and the other's
Yeah.
got the cordless one.
Yeah, but that one was much bigger.
Oh, maybe. Anyway,
Like double the size of that one,
the fact that they were waiting for a fax,
Yeah, facts.
or even dare I say a facsimile, as she explained it to them.
But but it's true though. It's not the original document. It's just the
No, I
copy
know,
of the
I
document.
know it's true. They didn't.
I know.
They didn't give it a name that's inaccurate.
A
Just simply
facsimile.
the fact that
Yeah.
It's,
Why would you use a fax machine now though? I know that some offices still use it. I just don't understand.
things we'll never know.
I
How
think-
can
I
a
think-
man
you know what?
fly?
I think it's for the signature. Like if you have a document that
You
you,
can
need
sign a
s-
PDF. There's nothing wrong with that. Technology's moving on.
All right.
Anyway, so we've ranked it. We've
Yeah.
we've considered what dates
What
it.
dates it? Oh, you said about the clothes of Lois.
Oh, I just asked you if you liked them because they looked
okay,
a bit
okay.
weird.
Yeah.
And your reply was, they look a bit weird. So
Yeah.
we were both on the same page with that. Nothing much
Yeah.
to say there. Well, anyway, I definitely think that's enough for this episode. We've kind of rushed it just to put something out because,
No, don't say that.
well, it's true.
At
But-
the end of the day, at the end of this recording, we did enjoy talking about it.
yeah, we did.
It's just when you're watching it, like earlier when I was watching it, and some scenes, I immediately comment about it, and then I have to remember, I have to say this after. I should
Yeah.
probably be taking notes of what I want to say.
Maybe you should take notes. I heard of this one guy. He's very professional. He takes notes and then he looks at his notes during the podcast. It's just a suggestion.
But I want it to be a bit more natural. So, if I just say it like this, spontaneously, how do you say it? Extemporaneously, then it sounds, better than if I read it from my notes. And also, if I'm writing the note, how can I follow the scenes if I'm writing?
Well, that is what happened to me when I
And then
didn't
I
see
can't
the cat
remember.
bit. Anyway, we better wrap this up. That was the we could say the first of the newly rebranded episodes.
So it's not anymore
It's no longer the old New Adventures.
Old
of
New Adventures of
Superman.
Superman.
It is a conversation with
Lois
Lois and
and
Clark.
Clark.
You might not like the title. I don't care.
Do you want it to be a conversation with Lois and Clark, the old New Adventures of Superman?
That's
Is that too long? Okay.
That's
Let
far
us
too
know.
long. Anyway, so this episode will go up. Of course, there'll be a new episode of A Conversation With up on Wednesday. You can contact us through all the normal social media, Twitter, Instagram at ACW Pod. You can email us at aconversationwithpod@gmail.com. You can visit the site conversationwithpod.com, where you can listen to all the other episodes that we've got up from this series, but also bonus episodes from different series that we've got on the Conversation With feed. And that's all we've got to say. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you
and
for listening.
we hope you join us for the next episodes that are going up. Bye-bye.
Bye.